Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Today is the 1st of July of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of the Gulping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, a.k.a. Motown Noah. Got a big show for you guys today, especially if you're a Pistons fan, because boy, did they come out swinging. Taping this on a Sunday night. Free agency only officially opened just a couple hours ago. The moratorium does not end until July 6th. So all of the contracts that you're seeing flying around right now are all technically tentative, falling under said moratorium until July 6th. And we got some stuff to talk about, but I do think it's important to get all of the Pistons stuff out of the way first, because boy, have they been active. There was a flurry of moves late last week, where you're seeing like the Umudes of the world, the Buddy Boeheims of the world, guys on the margin. Malachi Flynn, by the way, no longer a Piston. All of the two aforementioned players also no longer on the Pistons. So all the dudes on the margins that kind of got us through the end of the season, the Pistons are cutting ties with them, and they're like, all right, so we're going to go do something else now. Like, thank you, Malachi Flynn, for the 50-piece. Thank you for the worst trivia question you will ever be asked, the most enraging trivia question that you will be asked, 10 years from now, 7 years from now. Flynn's sanity, it was fun for a game. Well, it actually wasn't fun for a game. I hated every second of it. I didn't even watch a second of the game. I haven't seen any of the highlights. I have not. There's a true omission. Not an omission, true admission, rather, by myself. I have never seen a single bucket, I don't think, from Malachi Flynn's 50-point game, and I would like to go the rest of my life. Although I say that, at some point, someone's going to, now the coping hour version of a Rickroll will just be somebody being like, hey, you should check this video out. And then it's going to be like a jump scare, like a Malachi Flynn, hitting a Hezi tween from 18 feet in the game that he randomly had 50 off the bench. So I say all of that just to say all of those guys are no longer on the team, and you're like, that's cool. And then the Pistons make a trade that you're actually kind of excited about, if you're both teams, by the way. Because if you're Dallas, we don't have to deal with Tim Hardaway Jr.'s bullshit anymore. Alleged bullshit, by the way. We've covered it on the show in recent weeks, actually. A lovely emailer pointed it out and actually sent a subsequent email recently where they were like, whoops, after THJ was traded to Detroit, where we highlighted, we didn't understand what happened with Tim Hardaway Jr. and kind of how he fell out of the rotation. I guess he just stopped hitting threes. Some of you said he got hurt, and then some of you that said he got hurt were then challenged by other people who said he did not get hurt. So I guess the jury is still out on what the hell actually happened with Tim Hardaway Jr. and why he fell so hard out of favor with Mavericks fans. So they don't have to deal with him anymore. They're excited about that. And Quentin Grimes is an NBA player. Just kind of didn't work with Detroit, whether he just wasn't playing in games for some inexplicable reason, or not even suited up, just straight up not even suited up, or when he actually did check in, it just sucked. I mean, when he was coming out of Houston, I remember I wanted Detroit to take a look. I really, really wanted Quentin Grimes. And the Knicks thing, it kind of worked out, and then Tibbs just didn't want to play him, and then it kind of was the same thing a little bit with Monty Williams. And so with Dallas, it makes sense. They just get another guy along the perimeter, and that's cool. And then the second round picks, if you're Dallas, is dude, that's chump change. Who cares if it gets us off of Tim Hardaway Jr.? That's okay. And then if you're Detroit, it's okay, well, you went into this summer, and the whole thing that you've been preaching is we wanted to, ever since, Trajan stepped in front of a microphone, and it's hey, I'm your president of basketball operations, I'm running the show now. Ever since that happened, he's hey, we want to take on bad contracts because we have all this cap space. We want bad contracts and future assets. And what did the Pistons do with this trade? They got a bad contract, took on some dumb money, and then they got 3 future second-round picks. And what do they want to do with those second-round picks? Well, the communication has been that they want to turn those into future first-round picks. So if I'm a Pistons fan right now, I mean, this is, again, for both sides here, I really thought that was win-win. It was an awesome deal. You expect that the Pistons will be doing some more wheeling and dealing on the, between, especially by Friday's episode, there's going to be, how many more transactions up and down the board, not just with the Pistons, but, around the league. So I'm excited to see how that unfolds. But for this to be the first domino, I believe that was the first transaction of Trajan's tenure, right? That was the first thing. Whoa. So the first thing that Troy Weaver did was he signed Justin Patton, because he was Troy's guy in Oklahoma City. It's literally the first thing he did. And then the first thing that Trajan Langdon did was, besides drafting Ron Holland, if you want to say that that's the first thing that he did, that's cool. But the first real thing that he did was Quentin Grimes for Tim Hardaway Jr. and 3 second-round picks. And then Troy's first trade was the Bruce Brown one, which we've covered a handful of times at this point, which was a bad trade, and it was a bad trade in retrospect. So that's it's funny to look at it through that lens. So the Pistons, it's a fun first domino. It's a very, very fun first domino, and it is one that gives you a little bit of hope, but you'll still believe it when you see it. We still got 1 foot out the door on this whole operation in Detroit, and then so now we're pivoting towards free agency. The draft is officially done. We're kind of starting to do the trades thing, and we're starting to see the direction that Detroit wants to go. So you're heading into free agency, and you're kind of like, well, here's the problem. Why would a free agent sign here if we don't have a coach? We have summer league in like 2 weeks, and what are the kids gonna do? Like, what are these players like? What are we trying to get them to? What are we coaching them up on? You know what I mean? Like, what are we trying to see out of them? Well, if we don't have a coach, like we don't know. And so that was really concerning me. And we were even hearing reports that like agents didn't want draft picks to work out for Detroit. And even though I don't know if there's an actual reason like that an agent gave out there, and I just haven't seen it, you would imagine it's just because it's like a dumpster franchise right now, and they just don't want their clients to play for the organization, which would be fair, by the way. It would be fair. So you just wonder, I mean, that doesn't, the fish rots from the head. So that if the kids in college are saying that, that's what their agents are saying. What do you think the dudes who have been in the league for 10 years and their agents are saying? You know, so if that team also doesn't have a coach, then why am I not going to go there? All this buildup, all this anxiety that I'm going through, and it's just alleviated randomly, like 8 hours ago, like a random Sunday matinee Woj bomb, where he's like, "Oh, hey, JB Bickerstaff, yeah, he's the Pistons head coach. There you guys go, enjoy your Sunday." People are like getting out of church, and they're like, people are still rolling a little bit on like MDMA from like 6 hours earlier. And they're like, JB Bickerstaff is the Pistons head coach? That's fucking awesome. That sounds awesome. Man, talk about just being absolutely torn on something, right? First of all, happy just with all the setup that I just did. Now we have a coach, and now we can go kick ass in free agency, and we can go get like LeBron and Paul George. Thank God now that we actually have a coach, because that's going to make a world of difference. But then the other piece of this is the reaction is very split. You have it's either like, oh my God, so sorry, Pistons fans, or like, oh, fucking God, I love this hire. Oh my God, I love this hire. Which honestly plays into the whole, what we always talk about on this program, which is the overcorrecting that people will do with certain arguments, where it's like they will take it to such an extreme until it's proven that their thing is right because of how outrageous that they're acting and the ways that they'll act out in order to prove how right they are. Even if it strays from what they're actually trying to prove, the more outrageous it is, it doesn't matter, right? So the one thing that we liked about the Kenny Atkinson hire with Cleveland to replace JB Bickerstaff is Kenny Atkinson is a great culture guy, and we said that, but I think it kind of buries that's what JB Bickerstaff does too. Like, that's what he's also good at, and he was the one who was responsible for getting the Cavs to this point, right? He was like the bridge coach into, I don't want to say that he was the Cavs version of Rick Carlisle and that Kenny Atkinson is their Larry Brown, right? Where you have the coach that, you know, picks you up from the ashes and is like, sends you on your way, but they don't follow you for the whole journey, and they don't take you there. They're not with you when you get to the top of the mountain, because they like pass you off to a different guide like 3/4 of the way there. I guess JB Bickerstaff is the one who just kind of set them up for all of this success, right? And also just having Donovan Mitchell, by the way, trading for fucking Donovan Mitchell, that also helped. And so for the most part, like, the Cavs and their fans would speak glowingly about JB Bickerstaff. It's just kind of in the last 6 months, which honestly, maybe this is a moment for me to sort of do a hashtag review the tape moment and look back over the last few months. And because we talked about it a little bit on the show, whenever like his downfall was kind of starting to trend. And here's the funniest thing maybe about all of this: the Pistons, when we talk about things that we've documented on the show. So the JB Bickerstaff was not fired by Cleveland. He was dismissed. And then just a few weeks later, Monty Williams was not fired by Detroit. He was, you guessed it, dismissed. So the Pistons dismissed their coach and then replaced him with the only other coach this offseason who had also been dismissed, not fired. Not fired. So the Pistons are dismissal drunk, maybe a little bit right now. Maybe we should get a temperature check on that. Maybe we should do. Are the Pistons headline for Piston Powered or Detroit Bad Boys? Whatever aggregate wants to take this. Are the Detroit Pistons at this joke? I've mentally punted on this one. I don't like this one anymore. I'm a little bit on the side of yes, I think. Because when you think of, even though J.B. Bickerstaff was vilified and was like hung in the town square by the end of the season, they won almost 50 games and they didn't have like Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley and Darius Garland for like 3/4 of the season, like most of it. And so you have to blame somebody. And then the other piece of this that annoys me a little bit is the reaction that I've seen to the Pistons giving J.B. Bickerstaff 5 years. I don't think that the years on a coach's contract are anything more than a formality, especially when it's like 5 years. Because if the Pistons had done like the Sean Sweeney thing, he would have maybe 2 years, 3 years is what the contract would have been, because he's a first-time head coach and he's a young guy and he's got something to prove. But when the Pistons are like, hey, J.B. Bickerstaff, you're a dude who's like won in the league. You've been to the playoffs in the last few years with a team that, by the way, you did that. Like, you got them there. You didn't take over for somebody. Like, you inherited some, like, weird shit, and you made it work, right? And then you got, again, Donovan Mitchell, by the way. But, like, you made it work. And so, okay, that dude, more often than not, is going to get the full 5 years. But it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, because what was the thing that ESPN was talking about a couple of weeks ago, like, just before the J.J. Redick thing actually happened, where they were like, there hasn't been a Lakers coach that's lasted more than 3 years since Phil Jackson. We're talking like a decade plus, where an NBA, like a coach for a franchise, hasn't lasted more than 3 years. I don't think that's like an isolated thing. I feel like that's pretty common. So they can give him 5 years, but if this thing doesn't work, he's going to be out in 2.5, right? So it's not like a matter of, oh, the Pistons didn't learn their lesson and they went. And the other maybe part of this that I don't love is that we're just doing the thing where we get another team's scraps. We're doing that again. Didn't we? Isn't that what happened with Stan Van Gundy? Maybe there was. I think there were some years between him leaving Orlando and him coming to Detroit. I think there were some gap years, I believe. But even if it wasn't him, it was Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey won Coach of the Year, rather got fired, then hired by the Pistons, and then won Coach of the Year for the Raptors. It's a very weird timeline. And then we let him go. The Suns fired Monty Williams. We're like, we would love some Monty Williams, actually. We would love a piece of that. And then a piece of that we got, 365 days and some motherfucking change. The change being 50-some-odd million remaining on his contract. Doesn't matter. It just comes directly out of Tom Gore's pocket, so I don't care. And then if it wasn't Monty Williams, it was the Cleveland Cavaliers firing J.B. Bickerstaff and the Pistons being like, you know what? We need someone to steer this thing in the right direction. It's scraps. It does kind of make you wish, like, maybe we should have done the young guy thing. Like, maybe that would have been nice, because then if we I don't know how to word this point, but I don't know, because what would the stats suggest? What would the numbers on this one suggest? That it's gonna be a success, I think, as long as Cade's on board with it. Which you have to imagine, if they consulted him about the Monty Williams firing and then he was like, yeah, I don't want him as my coach. You have to imagine JB was one of the dudes who he was like, I bet they just asked him for a list is what it was. Maybe that's all that it was. And speaking of Cade Cunningham, by the way, so there's some, the girls are fighting a little bit. We got some conflicting reports between Shams Charania, James Edwards III, and Bobby Marks. So there's a rumor out there that Cade is signing an extension, folks. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? 5 years, $226 million. Now, at 7:20 p.m. Central Time on June 30th, 2024, Shams Charania tweets, the Detroit Pistons plan to sign Cade Cunningham to a 5-year, $226 million maximum rookie extension, sources tell me and James Edwards III. And so Pistons fans are in a frenzy. Everyone going berserk. Whoa, wait, did Bobby Marks take his tweet down? No, wait, hold on. Okay, I'm sorry, I found it. Bobby Marks at 7:26. This is 6 minutes later. The Pistons and Cade Cunningham have had discussions on a contract extension, but no deal is imminent, sources tell ESPN. First of all, weird that this one came from Bobby Marks, because it feels like if anybody was going to dunk on Shams in that moment, that it probably would. And James, sorry, James, but you got fucking destroyed by Bobby Marks. Hashtag destroyed. I don't know about destroyed, because Cade is definitely going to sign that extension. Even if it hasn't, they're just crossing T's and dotting I's. It hasn't technically been signed yet. I do believe he's going to sign it. And so the number there, what did I say? 5 years, $226 million. Now, a more nuanced broadcaster would do a breakdown of, contextualizing what the $226 million means in the NBA when you look at it just amongst the other stars and in his own class, too. I mean, Scotty Barnes just signed his extension, too. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that here because I'm just happy that the Pistons have a player that I'm very emotionally invested in, that I genuinely believe is a great player, that I genuinely believe and could see being a guy who brings the Pistons to, I don't know about a championship. I honestly don't know if I'm there yet because we just haven't seen him play in any meaningful games, honestly. So I can do the whole thing, man, he's going to take us to the fucking championship, the promised land. I don't know. I believe he can take us to the playoffs. I want to see what happens when we get there, though. That's what I really want to see. And the truth is, as mean as I am to Jaden Ivey, I would love to see what happens with him in that situation. What does he look like in a highly competitive game? And you want some more? You want a little bit more? I think we are actually going to get that next year with Jaden Ivey. We are going to get that. It's just not going to, it's just not going to be in Detroit. I don't know where. Is there? No, there's no, I can't squeeze Oklahoma City into this somehow and be like, take Jaden Ivey. Whoa, give me Lou Dort. Whoa, hold on. Jaden Ivey, Lou Dort, and then Stan Presti has a treasure trove of shit that he didn't give to AK for Alex Caruso, and instead he's going to give to Detroit for Jaden Ivey. What do you guys think, Oklahoma City Thunder fans? You guys on board with that one? So Cade Cunningham, Detroit Pistons for like the next 6 years, technically. Whoa. But it's weird. I don't know. What was I about to do? I was about to say, it's weird that you see players, and nowadays, I don't want to be like the guy who's like, nowadays you see players doing all this, but you do see players ask out with like a lot of years left on their deals. Dame asked out with like 4. You're like, huh? 3 maybe? He had more than like 1. It like wasn't expiring. Speaking of getting out of contracts and then people losing their fucking minds. So Paul George is like actually done with the Clippers. Like this is actually over. This actually just isn't a thing anymore. And it's crazy when you read a headline where it's like Paul George, any player opts out of $48.7 million contract. Jesus Christ, man. Yes, I understand why. It's just in a vacuum. It's just bananas to read. And I'm sure whatever the figure that he pens, here within the next couple of days, it might be within the next couple of hours. That's what's going to piss me off is if the second I publish this, Paul George is a Sixer. Paul George is a Warrior. Sounds like a Sixer right now. As of this recording, it sounds like he's going to be a Sixer. And so what's the precedent for that? I don't know from the Sixers perspective. Maybe we'll get there. What the fuck happened? What just happened? Clippers fans, what just happened? So in 2019, the Clippers gave up like 5 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps, I think. So for like 6 or 7 years, the Thunder have a controlling interest, or at least a preferred suggestion, a controlling interest in what the Thunder and what their picks. Jesus, man, just move on. Just fucking just don't show up for the fucking show if you're fucking not gonna speak, if you're not gonna talk, man. Just don't show up. Just don't get in front of the microphone. Don't start hitting record. Jesus, man. I wonder if the Clippers moving to this new arena, doing a full rebrand, top to bottom, logos, uniforms, all of it, merchandise, all of it. Did I mention the new fucking $100 billion arena? I wonder if they're just like, maybe we need to stop pretending that we're kind of this like fringe contender. I guess they had been fringe contenders. There had been moments 6 months ago, I was talking about maybe the Clippers are like the team to beat in the West. The Clippers might be because they had a stretch and they had like I think it was the month of January that they just went ballistic. They went absolutely berserk. And you were seeing Paul George actually playing games, by the way. You were seeing Kawhi Leonard actually playing games, by the way. The Russell Westbrook thing was working beautifully. The James Harden thing ended up working way better than I think a lot of us thought that it would. So I just, maybe from like an identity standpoint, or I don't know. It just feels kind of bizarre that they would walk away from it. I don't know what the harm would have been, and because what's the hang up here with Paul George is he wants a 4th year. So if I'm the Clippers, it's a meaningless, that year doesn't matter. Give him a 4th year. Okay. Sign him before, it doesn't matter. That means nothing. Still trade him. There's a lot of things that the Clippers could have done here that weren't just letting Paul George leave for nothing 5 years after you mortgaged a half decade for him. Just feels, it felt bizarre. What else did we get from free agency? Chris Paul is a Spur? That's not quite what we were saying was going to happen. We were saying more like Russell Westbrook. More like we did kind of punt on the Trae Young thing, didn't we? We did. Najee Marshall, 3 years, $27 million to the Dallas Mavericks. Amazing contract. Amazing value. I thought Detroit, I thought he was one of those dudes that would fly under the radar so heavy that Detroit would actually get to swoop on him, and I was really pumped to be like, you guys don't even, unless you're a Pelicans fan, like, you guys don't even know about Najee Marshall. People do. He's a sniper. People know about him. What else do we got? The Jonas Valanciunas 3-year, $30 million thing. Does he make it 3 more years in the league? Have you guys been seeing him? In the last couple, I don't know. I don't know if in 3 years, if Jonas Valanciunas, he'll have a pulse, but I don't think he's going to be not in my NBA, not in this league, I don't think. The one that probably of the day that devastated me the most was that the Magic are actually doing the thing where I have to be like, oh, fuck, they're loading up on actual players that I kind of like and respect. And I'm going to have to look at them in the East next year and be like, maybe. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 3 years, $66 million. Oh, so that's why he opted out. And the language immediately on it was that Denver was bracing for the outcome that KCP isn't on the team anymore. And I guess here it is. But so even now, Tobias Harris could be Klay Thompson. There's a few other guys that I'm blanking on right now that the Magic could go after. And that's the part, I don't know if we've had a chance to talk about it on this show, but the band is officially broken up. Splash Brothers, it's over. Man, it's over. And you think about the last 13 years of what that's been like, and I'm sure people are going to get a lot of jokes off about this and, wherever he ends up going, and when those two end up playing again, that's going to just be bizarre. It was 10 years ago this summer that my favorite, it's the 10-year anniversary of probably the most repeated story on this program, which was when Kevin Love was almost traded for Klay Thompson and Harrison Barnes and Kevin Martin. Well, I've fucked up the details of that. It was Kevin Martin and Kevin Love you guys have heard me talk about it before. That was 10 years ago. And they hadn't won a championship yet. And all that they accomplished in those 10 years, because it was that immediate following season. It was, this fall will be 10 years of the first time that they won a championship. So that's why the anniversary feels so significant. And we're at the end of the road. Very literally, after those 10 years, it's over for those two dudes. And the amount of times that you had to kind of stop what you were doing. And, there weren't that many players in the league for a while that if they were hot, you literally had to stop what you were doing, man. I mean, when Klay, the first major one that he had was when he had 37 and a quarter against the Kings. I remember exactly what I was doing. I remember exactly where I was when I found out that he was in the middle of it. And I totally fucked up the vibes of the party that I was at because I just went in a corner and just watched it on my phone. And then another one that he had was the one he actually here in Chicago. He hit 14, I think, threes in a single game. And I remember exactly what I was doing with. And, the amount of basketball monoculture is a very difficult thing to achieve. And Klay Thompson, as an individual, as a teammate, he's been on a lot of teams that have produced some basketball monoculture. But even as an individual, he has been able to do that. And so for that, the duo that has been responsible for so many of those moments to finally break up, for that to finally end, it sucks. It sucks. And the value of, how about that? Man, the Lakers thing, I don't know why, it just feels even weirder now. It just feels even weirder that they also have JJ Redick as the coach. And it's like, I don't feel like they can actually have Klay. You guys get what I'm saying? It's like a vibes thing. I just don't feel like they should be able to have both of them. I was fine with it if JJ Redick wasn't the coach, but JJ Redick being the coach and having Klay Thompson in some way feels redundant. Folks, what do you say we do some emails today? I'm hoping nothing breaks. I keep refreshing Woj and Shams while I'm in like a Safari browser, and I'm like, I'm on like dial-up. Have they tweeted anything? I'm like, Alan Crabb. The offer sheet just got matched by Portland. Did you guys see this? Timofey Mozgov just got $60 million. Did you guys see this? What do you guys say we do some emails? We got one from, I don't know what this guy wants me to refer to him as. I don't know what this person wants me to refer to them as. H. That's what you wrote at the end of this email. copinghoursubs@gmail.com is the email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this show. H. Welcome to the show. Subject line, presidential debate, quotes of the night. Good whatever time of day it is that you're reading this. The NBA draft and a presidential debate in the same day felt like a Coping Hour episode. The debate being a 2020 rerun practically was expected, but the quotes of the night from Trump were there. He probably shouldn't be a politician, but the quotables he's had since he's moved his brand to that market has been a run of all runs. The DNA USA quote was probably the funniest. If you had one quote of the night, Joe or Trump, what would be yours? I would choose the Trump one where he said, I would choose the Black Jobs one, not because the quote itself is funny, but I immediately imagine him just taking on Gilbert Arenas' consciousness and talking about NBA contracts as black jobs. So what's the take? Is that Gilbert Arenas would look at NBA expansion, be like, they're adding Seattle and they're adding Las Vegas. He's like, Adam Silver is creating black jobs. Is that racist? That seems racist. It's funny, but that seems racist. Hold on. This is a pivotal moment. This is what we use the Coping Hour for. This is what I don't mean to like to steal the Tosh.0 is it racist bit, but let's walk through this one. If Gilbert Arenas says that, will I clock that as racist? Me. Yeah, that's the angle here. We're not looking at it from an objective angle. We're looking at it, do I think it's racist? If two teams are added in the NBA, that's like 30 players, and Gilbert Arenas is like in praise of Adam Silver, all hail the king, he just added black jobs. That is racist. Yes. Wow, when I phrase it like that, that's racist as fuck. Yeah. Well, is it positive racism? Hold on. Is it positive? Because I'm like, they're NBA job. This is an NBA contract. I'm like, well, if it's that's not a bad job to have. So if it's 30 of them, like, that's not that bad. But it insinuates that it would be, Jesus, fucking, It all stays in the show, ladies and gentlemen. It all stays in the show here at the Coping Hour. I think we're going to settle on, yes, it is racist, but it is unfortunately also funny. So if Gilbert Arenas does say that, we will denounce it. We will denounce it on this program if it does actually become reality, and then it will not be so funny. But in theory, it's funny. Let's get back to the email. I feel like I'm digging myself a grave, and I could just read the email. So let's get back to it. Then he doubles down and talks about, I actually don't remember. So you wanted to know what my favorite quote from the debate was, is really what it boiled down to. How crazy was it that Trump was basically out there like KCP hooping with an ankle monitor? It's basically what it was. Like first day out shit. Like the dude hasn't been under lights that bright in how many years. And he came out and it was like fastball, 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 fastball. And by the end of the night, we were all like, fuck. That, like, he did it. Fuck. Like, oh no. I don't know about a quote of the night. The whole golf back and forth spiel that they had has really sat with me. It's really resonated with me because it's crazy. I stand by the whole, that did not need to be 90 minutes. If they weren't going to talk about anything meaningful, that did not need to be 90 minutes. And I didn't feel the like genuine shame and disbelief and discomfort like as the one in 2020, but it was just like, you guys aren't even real people. I hate both of you. But it was as soon as we got to like the 85-minute mark that Joe Biden is like, I was a 6 handicap. And Trump was like, I will murder you if you ever say anything like that again. Like that is and then Biden kept doing this thing where he was like, that's the biggest load of malarkey that I've ever heard in my life. And then Trump would say anything, and then he would like look at Jake Tapper. He'd be like, "That's the biggest load of insanity. That's craziness I've ever heard in my life." And he just like kept doing like quotes and shit like that. He like kept really trying to grab the audience. I was like, "It's not gonna happen, Joe. Joe, I don't think you're gonna be able to make it happen tonight." And he absolutely did not. He absolutely did not. An actual quote, probably the one where DJT was like, "I don't know what you just said, and I don't think you know either." That was a bar. He got his fucking ass. Damn it. They're gonna have to like write like snapbacks, like little quips on Joe's like fingers and shit. Like he's like cheating on like a math test, and so he can just like look down and be like, well, you're fucking lame and I hate you, and you had but he did the porn star thing. He's like, you had sex with a porn star, and Trump was like, I did not have sex with a porn star. I'm sure all of you have seen the same variants of like, ooh, presidential debates 12 years ago versus now, and you know, shit like that. Wow, they are very bad. They are actually really bad. I saw one. It was the Mitt Romney Obama one from 2012, and they like show up and they're like practically like kissing, and Mitt Romney's like, how's your wife, Barack? She's so lovely. Oh, I know it's your birthday. I can't imagine she would rather celebrate it with you anywhere else but in here. Oh, it's so lovely to be here. I'm so charmed by your presence. And then they cut to 2020, and Donald Trump is like running over to Joe Biden's microphone because he's just muted, and he's like, Joe Biden is gay, and you're like, what is going on? And then it cuts back to Obama like with his arm around Mitt Romney, and they're like playing ukulele, like Obama's hand is playing the chords, but like Mitt Romney is doing the strumming, and they're doing like fucking Hey There Delilah. And then it cuts back to it really was eye-opening in how absolutely fucking brain rotten. Oh, damn it, I was on a roll there. How absolutely brain rotten we've become, I think, because of Donald Trump. Because of this, like, personality that politics has taken on in America in, like, a really mainstream way. I think the tenets of it have always been there, but I think social media and a president like Donald Trump to platform the mentality and the mindset in America has done a lot of damage in 8 years. It hasn't been that many years. Hasn't been that many. And by the way, it's whether we want it to be or not, it does look like it's going to be another 4 more years. There was another email in here that I wanted to read. Oh, also, I wanted to say at the beginning of that, you saying that the NBA draft and a presidential debate happening in the same day felt like a coping hour episode. One of my favorite things anybody's ever emailed in the show. Could not agree with you more, and I don't know how I didn't clock that, because you're 100% right. And it makes it better that it was day 2 of the draft, so it was on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday. And so it was like 4 hours of just like really poorly produced and poorly executed like basketball stuff. And then 90 minutes of political, like geopolitical, like, what the fuck did he just say? And like, yeah, that's basically this show in a nutshell, right? Another one that we got. This is an insane pivot to honestly to do this, because it's kind of like bringing back a Friday Feels almost in a way. Only it's Monday. But we got this email like a week ago, and I just haven't really stopped thinking about it, and I didn't read it the other day because I don't know if I am equipped. And I will, of course, give it my best shot, man, and I'm going to, but this is a really heavy one. Not like heavy, like it, it deals with like really heavy stuff, but like this is, it's a real problem. It's a very real problem. And I just want to say, I think this is going to be one of those ones where I actually look to you guys for your experiences with this. So down in the comments or the email to the show, copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description wherever you listen to the show. This one comes into us from Brady, and it is a long one, ladies and gentlemen. So strap in. Subject line, religious differences in my relationship. I'm very sad. Hey, Nick. Longtime fan of the show, first-time emailer. I know you don't really do... Let's just jump to it, because this is a really long email, so let's just jump right into it. I appreciate all of this, though. I'm 22, recently graduated from college, and I'm fortunate enough to have just started a great full-time job that pays well, but requires me to travel a lot. My girlfriend is 21, also just graduated college, and is also starting a pretty good full-time job. We've been dating for 2.5 years up until the past month. They have been the best 2.5 years of my life, and it has easily been the best relationship I've ever had. To my eyes, she is the most beautiful woman in the world, and I could have seen myself building a life with her. And okay. She's so funny and full of joy and spirited. Her smile and her laugh lights up any room she's in. I'm able to talk to her in a way that I've never been able to talk to anyone, and our communication and trust is perfect. I am so lucky to have this girl. I'm not religious, though. My parents were loosely Christian when I was a child, but we were never really going to church, or we didn't really worship. Sorry, I fucked up the phrasing there, and I tried to fix it on the fly. My parents have since become agnostic/atheist, and that's what I feel like I am too. Religion has just never been a part of my life. My girlfriend, however, has always been pretty religious. This has never been a big problem, and I have never ever been anything other than supportive of her religious beliefs. I've even gone to church with her a few times. And then parenthetically, even though she herself has not been regularly attending church, close parentheses. We still enjoyed a healthy sex life. We're able to have fun and go to bars together. We still slept over. Parenthetically, again, we were neighbors for the last 2 years, and I have never felt the need to be guarded around her the way that some people feel that they have to be around very religious people. I want to reiterate one more time that I've been nothing but supportive of her religious choices. I've never said anything negative towards her religion, and I support the fact that she has welcomed God into her life and enjoys being involved in the church. I have also been upfront with her about the fact that I am not particularly religious, and until now, that has not been a problem either. About a month ago, she moved out of her apartment and moved back home. I still have a month left on my lease, and I plan on doing the same thing. This, in and of itself, isn't really a problem. Her hometown is only 30 minutes away from my hometown, and an hour away from the college town I will soon be moving out of. It was always going to be an adjustment, although we lived 30 minutes away when we started dating, and it was never going to be unmanageable. Here's the thing. You guys still there, folks? Hold on. We're almost there. This is all important, though. Here's the thing. Back to the email. Almost as soon as she moved back home, she took a strong turn into being as devoutly Christian as she could possibly be. Again, while this was slightly off-putting to me, I was nothing but supportive. It wasn't too much of a problem from my perspective. I love her so much, and if religion makes her happy, then I want her to go for it, because I want her to be happy. The problem is this. She expects me to join her on this journey towards growing closer to God, and from my perspective, it doesn't seem like a question. It seems like more of a demand. It started when she asked me to go to a church group on Tuesdays with her. This was a few days after she moved out. I declined for multiple reasons. 1, I don't think I would enjoy it. 2, after a long day of work, that's the absolute last thing that I want to do. 3, I don't want to sit there and pretend that my heart is in it when it really is not. Her reaction to this was intense crying and screaming at me, something that has rarely ever happened over the course of our relationship. The conversation later devolved into her asking me if I'd be willing to accept Jesus into my heart and incorporate Christianity more into our relationship. She tells me that she no longer believes in our relationship. She no longer believes our relationship to be perfect and says that I am withholding something from her that she needs. I was hesitant about agreeing to this, and we had a long discussion about it that ended in tears and screaming. And this time culminated in her telling me that I only care about myself. It seems like she has no understanding or respect for the fact that this would be a massive commitment for me and way out of my comfort zone. We've been having this conversation on and off for the past month, and on Sunday night, we were at a friend's graduation party. There was a very religious person talking to us about the Christian faith. On Monday morning, I woke up at 3:30 a.m. to go on a business trip down to Atlanta. He says we live in I should have excluded that. I'll bleep it out. I have been extremely busy and since I arrived here, and my only contact with her has been paragraphs relating to this subject. I love her so much, and I would accept her for who she is no matter what. I just want to have the same treatment in return. There is some more stuff in there, ladies and gentlemen, but it was about 2.5 minutes of reading the email from what I clocked. So, Brady, in the past when we've read these types of emails, I believe the track record is the... Oh my God. I don't know if the fireworks are going to pick up on the microphone. I thought someone was breaking into the fucking house. So even worse, though, the field right next to us, they're lighting off fireworks. So I apologize if you can hear that. I'm like, dude, my adrenaline is through the fucking roof right now. Brady, I'm sorry. Because I know you were like, whoa, he's reading my email. Whoa. Okay. The track record for these emails that we do whenever it's relationship stuff, it's like always what's the angle here on keeping you guys together? Is what we always is how we always try to approach them, how we try to tackle them here at this show. I don't know if we should do that here though, because the short version is that you have a boundary and I feel like it's being pushed, and you're admitting here that it's being pushed. And, after, what did you say that it was? 2.5 years. You're also, you're both young. I guess I don't love when people use that as an excuse. Okay. I'm going to stop recording for a second because I can tell that these are just going to keep getting fucking louder, and I don't know if these are getting picked up. So I'm going to stop recording for a second until these are done. I apologize for the sharp cut here, Brady. The fireworks just kept getting louder and louder, and I got frustrated and was like, why don't I just stop until... So here we go. Back to being a professional. The track record with this program, whenever we're dealing with relationships, is that the approach that we always try to take is, how do we keep you two together? That's how we try to tackle things around here. I don't know if we should do that here, because it sounds like this is kind of fucking with you in a way that feels like irreparable. Not irreparable. That's like so overdramatic. It is not irreparable at all. Maybe here's my advice. Here's my advice. Why do you think this happened? Like, what do you think happened? You know what I mean? Do you think like she had a conversation with somebody? Like maybe it was like in her church, maybe it was in her family, maybe it was a friend. I don't know who it was. Maybe she like watched a movie or something and like just had like a really cathartic experience. Like you know what I mean? Like there was something happened to her where like something like kind of switched, where she had this very literal come to Jesus moment, and she was like, I need everybody to come to Jesus with me. Brady, get in the fucking van. We're going to meet Jesus. Are you willing to accept him in your life? And you're like, honestly, I'm not right now. Like, I will in like a really casual way, like out of, respect for you and your religion, but it's not something that I'm willing to adopt. It's not like a way of, I'm not going to change my lifestyle in like a fundamental way for something that I don't believe in. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think anybody would find that crazy. Maybe the nuance here that you're missing from me, and this is where I'm looking for help with you guys on this, is just the religion part of it specifically, because for me, and maybe that's how I just need to answer this, dude. It's just like what would I do if I was in this situation? Honestly, I would be like, well, the way that I just framed it. My boundary is like, I will like go to church with you. Like, I'll do that. That's not a big ask. That's not a big ask at all. But like anything outside of that, I'm not fucking not doing it. I'm not doing it. Like I just, we're not a religious family at all. When I was growing up, we went to VBS, and sometimes we went to church when the church we went to would have like baseball nights, and we would like go to a baseball game. We would go to church then and like shit like that. But it just like wasn't ever part of our life in like a really meaningful way. And I think in some way I always kind of resented that. Maybe a little bit, because what I know about myself now is that I'm a really good soldier. I'm a really good follower. And so if you give me like an objective, like if you give me something to believe, like I'm a very faith-based person. So it's funny that I never went around in that circle. Like at any time that I've ever tried, I'm just like, because I think the problem that I have with it, and Brady, I'm sorry, because this is where I'm devolving, and now I'm just not answering your question at all. But I'm sorry. It's at this point it has maybe formed into a mental brain exercise for me, a little brain teaser. If only it didn't have to do with the origin of the universe. Damn it. Because it's just not it's not a thing. Like, I don't know how to describe this. This is where I don't want to, one of the few boundaries that I apparently have when it comes to alienating people is when it comes to, like, why are we here? I really don't like stepping on people's toes with that one, and I think it's because of how comforting it is to people. And how, I mean, like, wars of, like, literally millions of people have died over that shit. And so it's just the one thing that I protect, because for me it almost feels like a I don't know, man. I don't want to sound dumb and say that it's like a part of who you are, but I do think it says a lot about you as a person, like what you're, like how you believe in, and what I've believed the same thing for a while, like forever. And as time goes on, like, when I was a kid, man, I would always try. And maybe the takeaway, Brady, here from all of this is like, it can be a really windy road with faith. And some of those ebbs and flows are going to be like, when you guys for however long are like, fine. Like, you guys are having sex outside of marriage, and you guys are having sleepovers, and you guys are doing all a bunch of normal couple stuff. And like with some Jesus sprinkled in, like it's all cool. Like, you're in an ebb, and then a flow happens like the last month where she's just like, actually, this is my whole fucking deal. Actually, like, this is my whole life. I'm going to go on a mission. I'm going to go on a mission to, like, Rwanda. I'm going to build, like, a school. I'm going to build a house. I'm going to build water. Maybe she's just in a flow. Maybe she just really likes Jesus right now. And that's why I think it's important to ask her what the hell happened. Like, why? Like, I don't. And there's a question. How do you ask that question? How do you ask somebody like, hey, you've been, like, really, really into the Bible. Like you've been really into hitting the Leviticus recently. Did something happen? Did you listen to did some Creed come on the radio, and you were like, I haven't listened to my Joseph. I don't know anybody in the Bible. And maybe, you know what? And that's part of it too. I sent a text to somebody the other day. I said, you know what? One of the reasons I'm resentful of not being a religious kid is I feel like it would have added so much to my Rolodex mentally, like for references and like Family Guy style cutaways, but like verbal ones. You know what I mean? If I knew anything about the Bible, then it would be so much funnier. So Brady, I don't know how much that advice is going to help you out, man. But I really hope it does. Because this one's tricky. And dude, please, seriously, people will leave comments about what you should do here. Please read them. And then, a couple hours go by, come back, check them out. I think that's the really cool thing about this show, actually. And I don't know if I've said this into a microphone yet, or if any of you have clocked this. The lifespan of the show is something that is very interesting to me. To me, it's like hit publish, and then the next 24 hours, the show is living and breathing. And the comment section is alive, and it's like an ecosystem, and it thrives inside of those 24 hours. It's like a housefly, right? It shits, it eats, it breathes, it talks, it walks, it thinks. And then after 24 hours, it becomes desolate and it dies. The first 24 hours of each individual episode on YouTube specifically is, I think, where the show is at its best. And I think the show, it doesn't stop when I hit publish. It stops after the first 24 hours have gone by. As soon as you see the most recent episode of The Coping Hour was published at least one day ago, it's dead. You should still listen to it and watch it if you haven't gotten to it yet. But just know, I'm not checking them. I'm not checking the comments anymore. Well, that's not true. That's actually not true at all. I will check comments until the next one is uploaded. But for the most part, I think people don't really interact. Are there still hold on. Are there still There are still there. Yep, they're okay. Yep, there are actually still fireworks going. We had a problem this. God, man. Earlier today, we had a bunch of errands. So the mother of my child, my beautiful girlfriend, has to go back to work tomorrow. Her maternity leave is officially over. One of you guys sent in an email about that the other day. I believe a not American, and you were like, "Didn't she just have the baby like 2 months ago?" She did. She does have to go back to work. Yep, that's how it works, man. That's just the way it goes. But so she's got to go back to work. So we ran some errands today. And we had to go. So we live on the south side of the city now. We had to go all the way up on the north side. But there's like Pride parades, the last day of Pride. So they're doing a bunch of bullshit up there. And it's like cool and like whatever. Like, yeah, it's awesome. Everybody's a beautiful day outside. Like the vibes are awesome for sure. But like we have a kid in the back seat and half of these streets are closed off because you guys are doing like parades. And I'm getting cranky, right? Like this is taking, like we're trying to go to Marshall's and this could have been done in 45 minutes and we're 2.5 hours deep into this and like we haven't gotten to Marshall's yet. So can we hurry the fuck up? And then while we're like driving around, we're seeing like a lot of cops and I just thought it was because of the parade. And then at one point, like it was like city of Chicago counter-terrorism vehicle drives by, followed by 2 unmarked vehicles, both with Blue Lives Matter stickers on the back. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck? I was like, where are they going? So apparently like 100 dudes, this is like all Reddit conjecture, by the way. I haven't seen anything official on this, but apparently like 100 or 150 dudes on like motorcycles and ATVs and shit just like rode around on the north side of the city and like with like guns and knives and were like fucking with people. What? And I don't know. I don't know anything else outside of that. And then we also I watched somebody get put on a stretcher today. After an accident on Lakeshore, which is a freeway. That was not funny. Not very funny. It was very raw. Because I was thinking, as I was watching that person get put on a stretcher, I thought to myself, their parents are out there somewhere right now, and they have no idea that their son or daughter is on a stretcher. That's really scary. That sucks. Because they're going to get a phone call. And I don't know what happened to I did actually read a report about this. The car accident we saw, it was fucking bad. There were like 4 people got taken to a hospital and 12 people refused medical attention. 12? What the fuck happened? I mean, I saw what happened. A taxi and a brand new BMW ran off the road into a walking path and BMW smashed right into a tree. A couple people. So, all right, person gets taken off in a stretcher. That's a person's parents out there somewhere right now, and they're like, oh, my kid. I hope they're okay, man. I hope they're okay. I have no idea. I don't know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. Hey, I didn't ever explain why we changed the Coping Hour intro, why we changed the intro to the show, and also the video packages, because I fucking was manic and was like, what can I change that is of very little consequence but will make me feel like I did something, that I changed something meaningful. And I was like, I'll change and then I was like, oh, this is perfect actually, because it's like Doctor Who, where they just changed the theme song like every once in a while. For a while, it was just like whenever there was a new Doctor, and then like David Tennant had a few updates, and then Matt Smith had a few updates, and then they just so it's kind of like that, where the Coping Hour theme will change. It'll change. The next one will probably be around episode 100. Or the start of this next season. I don't know. I might have a manic episode tomorrow. I don't fucking know when the next one's going to be. But just know that the theme will be ever-changing. And then the first one that you heard for the first 60 episodes isn't gone forever. I mean, I'm sure in some way I'll bring it back. We'll use it from time to time. But it will just evolve. It'll upgrade. I can't use ecosystem again. It's effervescent. It's effervescent. It's an aphrodisiac. That's what I meant to say. The Coping Hour is an aphrodisiac. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. Nice little comment for the algorithm, perhaps. Nope, that's everything. I will catch you guys in the next one.